Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Pilates with Jessica Nelson, brought to you by the YMCA of Greater Michiana. Today we're going to do a routine that requires no props, so just yourself, your mat. So come on in and let's get started. All right, as we always do, we're going to find ourselves with our feet planted on our mat, knees stacked over the ankles, hips stacked over the knees, ribs nicely centered over the hips. Roll those shoulders back and down, loosen up that neck, and find that beautiful tall posture, rooting the feet into the earth. Let's take 3 big deep breaths together. Here we go. Inhale through the nose, arms come up. Exhale out, arms come down. Inhale up and exhale down. Last one here. Inhale up and exhale down. All right, let's take those legs out just a little bit wider. And we're going to plant one leg underneath you. So you're going to have one leg right underneath, and we're going to take the other leg out. So we're going to extend that leg and have that big toe just kind of pointing down toward the mat. We're going to see if we've got our balance fired up yet this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in your day. We're not going to lock out this knee. We're going to have a nice little micro bend in that knee, so that way you're not hyperextending that at all. So we're going to start, and we're just going to go ahead and take our hands, and we're going to go with so much energy. I cannot express to you how much energy I want you to put into these arms as you bring them up. And as soon as they get up to the top, we're inhaling as we bring them up. We're going to go ahead and just let it all be free. Everything in the body relaxes. They float down to the side as we exhale. So I'm calling that power up, freedom down, okay? So we're going to bring it up. All kinds of energy shooting out through those hands, feeling it in the shoulders, the body, everywhere. And then exhale, release, everything releases, floating back down. If you want a little more and those muscles are fired up for balance today, that leg kicks up with you as you put all that energy out into the earth and relax. It all comes back down. Let's do 3 more here, seeing if we can have that foot float up with us. All kinds of energy, relax. We're just finding the balance between power and release here in our body. Inhale up, exhale down. One more on this side. We'll repeat that sequence on the other side. All kinds of energy, power, strength, and all the release as we come down. Shake that out for a second. Let's take it to the other side. So now the opposite leg is going to be planted underneath you, micro bend in that knee. Other leg, that's our balancing kind of tripod leg, sticks out. Remember what we're doing. All that power, like you're trying to resist all the way through. Inhaling up, exhale, everything relaxes and comes down. If you want to bring that foot up, we're going to let that float on up with us. And down. We got 3 more on this side. Inhale up. Power, power, power. Oh, don't fall over. See, we might not have all those balance muscles turned on yet today. Exhale down. 2 more. I'm going to focus so that I don't fall over. Up. Relax it down. Last one's our best one always. Inhale up. And exhale down. Shake that out however you need to. And we're going to take this into a forward fold with a stretch into it. So I'm going to stay facing this way. Actually, watch me. Here we are. We're going to come on up, clasp our hands together, and then turn them inside out so the palms are facing up toward the sky. And then we're going to reach and stretch into that side body. And then we're going to twist at the torso and aim our chest down toward the mat while our hips stay facing forward. Unfurl that, come on back through center, and we'll do that on the other side. Reach up, bend over, twist at the torso, unfurl, and up. Let's do that one more time on each side. Stretching up, bending to the side, twisting at the torso, up through center, other side. Should feel like a nice good stretch all through the midline, midsection of the body. Open. Arms come down to the side. Just get a little rotation and shake that out. And we'll move into our roll down and get on down to all fours. So find your way to the back of your mat. And we're going to take a nice big deep inhale in, up. Exhale, we forward fold. We're not locking those knees out, are we? We're hanging here, letting the head hang heavy, shaking the head in either direction. Just loosening it all up. If it feels good, if you can get a little bit of a stance with your hands here, you can pedal those feet to get a little bit more of a stretch along the backside. And then settle that down to quiet. And then let's go ahead and walk that out to hands and knees. And from here, we're just going to do our little waving cat. And what that looks like, remember, is we keep our bony hip points facing down toward the mat. We twist at the torso just like we did in our standing rotation. That arm comes up and we twist and down. We're just doing 2 on each side just because we did a little bit of twisting already, so we don't need a lot down here. I just like these because it feels really good to kind of separate that trunk where you feel the rib cage go in one direction, the hips stay in the other, getting that spinal twist. All right, let's do a couple cat-cows here for good measure. Remember, our knees are right under our hips, our wrists are under our shoulders, fingers spread wide, long line from head to tail. And we're going to arch that spine, bringing the head and the hips underneath. Exhaling it all out. Big deep inhale, letting the belly sag and the tail and the head come behind, pushing away into the mat, not sagging into the shoulder blades. Let's do 2 or 3 of those here at your pace, picking a breathing pattern that works for you, and just really enjoy the stretch in both directions. One more set here. And when you're done, we're going to push that on back to child's pose and release a little tension out of those wrists from being here on hands and knees. Shouldn't be a lot, we weren't here long. But go ahead and push those hips back over the heels, reach the hands out long in front of you, flip the palms to the sky, forehead comes down to the mat, and breathe. Whew. One more deep breath here. And we're going to come on through to lying on our back. So today's lesson, our core activation segment here, where we kind of focus on getting our body prepped for the work ahead, we're going to talk about the word imprint and what that means and when to do it. So the imprint in Pilates is kind of a controversial subject these days. It was always assumed that you would take that lower back, that lumbar spine, and smash it into the mat when you're doing core work. And in the world of bar classes, it was that same thing. It was that tuck, right? So you're tucking your hips under into this really unnatural. It's not a neutral position. Neutral position is there's a little bit of space in the lumbar spine. The hips are nice and flat and stacked. And that was, you can engage, and that's how you walk through life, right? You want a neutral pelvis because that helps with the alignment with your whole body. So that being said, when you're training your core, when you're training all these deep powerhouse muscles, there are times when it is absolutely appropriate to take the imprint. And usually your kind of rule of thumb is if 2 legs are shooting away from your body in any move, you want a little bit extra support, so you would take that imprint. So let's go ahead and just roll right into that then. And the other thing is as you strengthen your core, you will need to take the imprint less, right? So you want to strengthen your core in neutral because then you're training those muscles to work in that natural position rather than training them in this tucked or imprinted position. So here we are. We're going to go ahead and like everything, there are exceptions to the rule. If you have medical issues, if your doctor has told you something, if you're working with a personal trainer who has advised you otherwise, you throw my crap out the window. You listen to your professionals. I'm a professional in Pilates. I've studied all this stuff, but those guys supersede my information here. So you take what you need here. And for those of us that are just exploring this world, let's go through it together. All right, so right now my hips are in a neutral position. The reason I can tell that is because my pubic bone, that lowest bony point, and my 2 bony hip points are right in the same plane, so they're even. If I were to bring the pubic bone up higher then my bony hip points, I'm in that imprint position. So my low spine, my lumbar spine is connected to the mat now, and my hips are tilted this way, so they're up. Now, if I were to let that go, I'm in neutral position, but if I take those bony points that are at my hips and I make those higher than the pubic bone area like this, now I'm in a really weird unnatural position, and this is what happens to a lot of us when we do leg work. So if we get into this position and we start to send our legs away, we peel up off the mat and we're overarching that low spine, and that is dangerous. We never want to see that happen. So the cat's puking over there, so that's fun. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're going to first work in a neutral spine and show you a couple things, our neutral pelvis here. So we're gonna keep that little bit of a gap in our low back and the mat. Hips are nice and stable. We're gonna hug all those muscles in that we've trained to hug in. If you've been with me throughout my classes here, you take that pelvic floor, so all those muscles that stop the flow of urine, hug those in. Cinch in around the waist, so you've got a nice big corset around the waist midline section, and you feel an engagement in those abs in the front part of your body. So all of that is engaged, and you still feel that low gap. From here, you've got some really good stability around your hips, and you could probably float your legs up into this tabletop position and feel like you could hold them there and breathe and be okay, and you've got some stability. As soon as you start moving them, you're going to notice things happen in your body. So if you go to take one leg down, what happens? Pay attention to what happens in your body. Maybe something starts to pop, maybe you rock one side or the other, so dial it in. Hug those muscles in a little bit tighter to give you the support that you need. When you're doing one leg at a time, if you're moderately active and you've been doing any kind of workout, you should be able to do this without having to imprint your spine. So you want to train in this position so that you can strengthen those muscles with a neutral pelvis. All right, let's bring those feet down. Take a breath. And then even when we come up into our ab curl, so now I'm not imprinting my spine, I have everything level and even, neutral pelvis. I come up into my ab curl, and maybe my low spine tries to push down a little bit just naturally as I come up, and then bring it back down, but I'm not cramming it or making an extra effort. So go through a couple of those and just notice what happens in your body. One more. So that's what I say if I want neutral pelvis. It's just engaging all those same powerhouse muscle groups, but not necessarily tilting or imprinting that spine into the mat. So now, if I do cue an imprint, or you hear an imprint in class, and there's lots of different ways teachers will get you there without even saying that word, but what that looks like, and when you want to take it, is again, like I said, when you're shooting two legs away. So let's prepare ourselves. So we hug in all those muscles. We're going to go ahead and like smash our low back. And when I say smash, it's probably not a great word because it insinuates a lot of power. We're going to gently kiss our low back down to the mat. That's a lot more pleasant, isn't it? All right, so now our hips are tilted where that pubic bone is a little bit higher than those bony hip points. And now we're going to bring both legs up into that tabletop position. And let's go ahead instead, let's take those legs nice and tall up to the sky. And so now we want to keep that low back in the mat because we're going to take both feet away. So when we do our double straight leg stretch during that series of 5, we take both legs away, right? And so we go just as far as we can keep that low back connected to the mat and then bring them back up. Now, if you tried to do that without the imprint, if you're really strong and your core is like awesomely fine-tuned, you could probably get that done, but it's safer just to assume that you want to go ahead and take that imprint when you're taking those two legs away. But as you build and as you work, and as you're working with your personal trainers or your physical therapists or whatever you're working with out there, obviously you listen to what they say, you take their advice as you build those muscles. So that's what that is. Just wanted to throw that out there. I've had students ask me about imprint versus no imprint before, so now we're on record. We've got it there. All right, let's roll right into the 100. So to do that, you'll want to take the imprint, right? Because we're going to send two legs away. So we're going to have our arms up overhead, over our chest like we're holding a box. We're going to engage that whole powerhouse, pelvic floor, transverse abdominis, bring it all in around the waistline. And so those hips are going to make that connection, or the low back's going to make that connection. Float both legs up into that tabletop position. And we're going to float up into our ab curl. Hands come back down by the hips. You can pick knees bent. Keeping them here is the modification. Next step up the ladder is taking them straight to the sky. Full version of the 100, we'll take those legs out to a 45 as we pump our arms for 100 counts. 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out. You can change your leg position throughout if you need to, so go ahead and pick what's best for you right now. And we're going to go ahead and inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. Halfway there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. In 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. Last set. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out 2, 3, 4, 5. Bringing back through that setup. Arms can come down, feet come down to the mat. Stretch that body out long both ways for a nice full body stretch. All right, let's go straight into leg circles. And so with leg circles, you probably don't need to take that imprint because we're going to work on one leg at a time. So I want you to keep a nice neutral pelvis, neutral hips, keep that little space down there in the low back, but engage all those same powerhouse muscles. The right or the left leg can stay bent as we take the right leg straight up into the sky, or if you want a little bit more, and if you have the flexibility, that bottom leg can go long on the mat. And if you're here and this leg won't straighten because you have really tight hamstrings, it is absolutely perfectly wonderful to bend the knee, and we'll do this motion with a bent knee. So you pick where you are right now, get yourself set up, engage the core. And what we're going to do is if you have that leg nice, long, and straight, you're going to point that toe straight up to the sky. Upper body is nice and spread out on the mat, wide collarbones, and you're doing tiny little circles, breathing in and out as you go in one direction for 8 circles. What you're looking for here is a stillness in the hips. If you're rocking all side to side, you need to dial those muscles in a little more, make the circles smaller. If this isn't challenging enough for you, you want to make those circles a little bit bigger. And once you've done 8 on one direction, you'll go in the opposite direction. So what we're doing here is working on lumbo-pelvic stability. Fun words, what the heck do they mean? This is the stability. If I could talk and do the circles would be great, right? So this is the stability between the lumbar spine and your pelvis. So that's what we're working on. How do they work together to have this dynamic stability as you move that leg right from the hip socket? Once you've done 8 in that direction, stretch that leg long and bring it on down to the mat. And then set yourself up for the other side, hugging all those muscles in, taking the option that's right for you, whether that's a long extended leg down here, bent knee here, long pointed toe if you're having a straight leg. And here we go. This is a time when I really want to encourage you to have that mind-body connection, because as soon as you start thinking about other things and floating away, you start to go too fast, your hips start to rock and roll. So I want you to really focus on your hips, keeping them still. 8 in one direction. When you've done your 8, you switch directions. Again, noticing it, do you need to make the circle smaller to get that control, or can you go a little bit bigger? Remember to breathe. Go halfway there on this last set. Take that leg nice and long, bend the knee, legs back down to the mat. It might feel good now to take a quad stretch. I like to stretch right after we do things. It just feels better to get the release. So you roll to the side and grab that foot behind you and stretch those quad muscles here, quadricep muscles in your legs. And then roll on over to the other side and make sure you get that side as well. Just a couple deep breaths on each side as you stretch. All right, then we're gonna go into windshield wiper legs. So all about working these lumbopelvic stability muscles here while we do things with our legs up in the air. So in this position, we're gonna go ahead, engage all those core muscles, bringing our legs up to knees first, and if you can, bring them up straight. You can definitely keep the bent knees on this, or you can come up to a nice long full leg. Upper body, let's take those arms out into a T to give you a little bit more stability here, and make sure you keep those collarbones spread wide. And from here, whether you're at your knee or have bent knees or straight legs, we're just going to slowly windshield wiper the legs side to side. So we're using our oblique muscles to pull those legs back up through center. I don't have an imprint in this one. You'll have to decide in your body what you need to protect your low back. What strength do you have in your core as you work through this? Can you go a little bit farther? It's okay if that hip pops up. What matters is, can you get it back up through center, engaging all those muscles throughout your hips, your waist, your core. Let's do 2 more on each side. I notice what happens in my body is I start to roll up and curl up. I want to keep that upper body nice and spread out. I don't know if I said 2 more on each side or 1 more, so we're doing 1 more now. Each side. Up through center, bend the knees, feet back down to the mat. Let's stretch that body out long both ways. And we're also going to hug it in because I've got a little bit of a nag on my lower back. So we're going to curl ourselves up into a little ball and just rock side to side. All right. We're going to come on up through to seated. We're not going to do full roll-ups today, but I just want to get us a little bit of that kind of roll-up action so we can feel what that's like when we're using that imprint in a seated position, right? We know what that feels like when we're lying down on the mat. Let's come up to seated, have bent knees, feet are on the mat. Sitting up nice and tall, putting our hands in front of us like we're holding a box. So now, what would that feel like if we wanted to tip our hips and press that low back into the mat, but in a seated position in midair? So we scoop out our belly. So now this kind of comes out, and then we're just gonna slowly hinge back just to that spot where we feel like, maybe we won't get back up, and hang there for just a moment. You can see I'm starting to shake. And then using these deep core muscles, think, how can I bring myself back up, keeping that scoop until I get to the top of my seated position, nice and tall. Let's do 3 more of those. So we scoop or imprint in midair, keeping that imprint. We hinge back to that shaky spot. Let it shake for a moment. Engage the core. On an exhale, bring yourself back up to seated, holding that scoop till you get to the top, neutral hips. 2 more. So in this sequence, we're really working through where are our hips throughout the movement. They're staying scooped until we're seated. When we're seated, they're neutral. Last one. Hold that shake and bring it on back up. Shake that out however you need to. I like to go into a little butterfly here with my legs, kind of stretch those out, bend forward, whatever feels good to you here. Maybe that long body stretch will feel good, or hugging yourself into that little ball. Just take a moment, and we'll transition to lying on our bellies on the mat. So I'll meet you there. So come on down to the mat. I'm gonna have to move a little bit out of this thing so that way, there we go. So coming on down to the mat, we're gonna have our nose in the mat. Hands are right above our shoulders, walking our legs out far behind us. We can feel our hips nestle into the mat. We have a neutral spine here, so we're not jutting our hips in, or we're not kind of scooping our butt back. So just have a nice neutral hips. All right, let's just work on some little baby mini swans. So we're going to peel up off the mat and then come on back down. Hands can float up when you're ready with you. Small movement, but powerful all along the back side of the body. We're going to do 2 more of these. And then we're going to turn it into a breaststroke. All right, on the next one, let's come on up. Let's keep the legs down for now. Come on up into our little swan. We're going to shoot our hands out in front of us, so biceps are by the ears. We're going to swing those hands around down to our hips, bend the elbows into our ribs, bring them back up through center. That was 1. Bring it down. We're doing 3 more of those. Float it on up, shoot the arms out, sweep them around, elbows to rib cage, back up through center. That was 2. Up. If you don't want to go down, that's a challenge. You can stay up and finish these. But if it's too much, come down in between. 1 more here. And there we are. Bring it on down. Take your head in one direction or the other to get a little bit of a stretch on that neck. If you need to, you can bend those knees and windshield wiper the feet side to side to get a little relief. This is your moment. They're all your moments. We're just spending a few of them together, working a little harder than others. Let's find ourselves back in that position with our hands down in the mat. And we're going to come up into more of a cobra kind of position, like in yoga, or excuse me, a sphinx position. So we're going to come on up. Elbows are right under the shoulders. Hands are out wide in front of us. We're not going to have our neck hanging. We're not going to have it arching. It's going to be nice in line with our spine. Right here, we can feel some work in our back. Feel a little bit of stretch back there. So I want you to have nice, powerful, long legs. And we're going to do single leg kicks. So what that looks like is you're going to try to bring your heel to that same side glute. So you're going to flex the foot as it comes up, and you're going to kick, kick, extend, kick, kick, extend. And on that extension, you can even feel your quad float up a little bit. So you might even want to start by floating the quad, kick, kick, extend, float the quad, kick, kick, extend. All right, so that was just show and tell. Now you know where we are, so come on up into our little sphinx position. We're going to start with the left leg. We're going to float the quad, and we're going to inhale, inhale, exhale. Float the quad on the other side. Inhale, inhale, exhale. If the breathing is too much to try to pick that right pattern, pick whatever you want. You know my thing, just breathe. Let's get through this together. Float, kick, kick, extend. Float, kick, kick, extend. 2 more on each side. Float, kick, kick, extend. Float, kick, kick, extend. Last set. Float, kick, kick, extend. Float, kick, kick, extend. Now we're going to push slowly through to child's pose to stretch out that low back. So make your way there. Easy does it. And stretch it out. Couple breaths here. All right. push on through. And we're going to come to a seated position. All right, coming to a seated position, having our legs out long in front of us, feet flexed. If that's too much and it's just not going to work with your hamstrings, take a bend in those knees and have your feet in the mat. Either way, get yourself set up to where you can sit nice and tall. You can feel those bony points, those sits bones planted in the mat. So you want them planted, and what you don't want to have is this kind of rotation that happens when we twist. You'll watch your heels, and if they're moving, you're going too far, because this is a torso twist, just like in our waving cat. So sitting up nice and tall, arms can either be really powerful and strong out to the side like we did in our warm-up, or you can even have your hands on your shoulders here to remind you to keep this nice and powerful and upright. Whichever position you prefer, let's get set up. And we're just going to twist at the torso as far as we can go without seeing a twist in our hips, right? So it's just a torso twist, pulse, pulse, back through center, twist, pulse, pulse, center, twist, pulse, pulse, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. If that works for you, fabulous. If it doesn't, just breathe, guys. Don't make it too hard. Twisting at the torso. 2 more on each side. Twist. Twist. Last set. And let's go ahead and take those arms out in front of us. Not collapsing down, but going out and over. Reaching out over those feet and just feel a nice stretch, and then restack the spine. Crossing those legs, let's stretch it out on the side as well. So wherever your feet are comfortable down here, we're going to take one hand out to the side, other one reaches up to the ceiling, and we arch over, opening up that side body, stretching it out after those twists. Back through center. You're going to appreciate this stretch before we get into some of this other work, so make sure you enjoy it. We're going to keep on working some of that side body. 1 more on each side here. Nice and tall, reaching on over. Back through center. 1 more on this side. And back through center. All right, we're going to move into a little bit of a plank series. So if you have issues and you know planks aren't for you, you skip this section. But if you're able and willing, let's come on together and get ready for our planks. So what we're going to do, just so you know where we're heading, is we're going to build it up. So first we're going to do a 15-second, then 30-second, 45, and then a minute. So we're going to build up the ladder. You can take options here, so you can have elbow plank, you can have knee and elbow plank, you can have whatever version you know works for you. Full-on plank. I'll do a couple different options so you can see each one of them throughout the series as we do each of the 4 components. So coming on down, we're going to find ourselves in whichever one we want to start with. So I'm going to start with a full plank. So it's 15 seconds. This should be pretty easy to do. So bringing those feet out, extending the body long from head to tail. We don't have our hips up here, they're not sagging down here. There's a long line of energy from head to tail pushing into the earth. And here we are for 15 seconds. Remember to breathe. Five seconds to go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Kiss those knees down to the mat. Push it back to child's pose if you need, or just come on back to seated and roll those wrists out. Let's take care of our bodies while we go through this. That was part 1 done. Next one's for 30 seconds. So I'm going to come down to an elbow plank, which I think is harder, but you make your decision based on what you know you can do in your body. So I'm going to come down elbows, legs out, and here we are for 30 seconds. Nice long line. Lots of power, pushing up from the mat. We're halfway there. Remember to breathe. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down. Take that moment of relief. We're halfway through our series as far as number of sets go, but not for time. So next is 45 seconds. So we're going to pick which version we want. Maybe this time you take full on the upper body and knees in the other, whichever one you're going to set yourself up for success. And throughout, if you need a break, take a break and then come back to it when you can. This isn't about shaming or feeling bad or thinking you can't do it. It's about building up power. So come on to it. Find the one that's going to work for you. I'm going to try for this full version here. And here we are for 45 seconds. Breathe. If you find yourself starting to sag, either in the hips or the shoulders, reconnect to the body. Be here now. Enjoy every moment of the power that you have in your body to hold this position, to strengthen your body, to strengthen your mind. We only have 15 seconds left. Like I said, if you need a break, take a break. Listen to your body. And 3, 2, 1. Whew. I bet you're feeling the heat in the body now. We only got one more in this series. We're going to hold it for a whole minute. So you're going to pick which version is your version. Shake out those wrists. All right, we ready? Let's do this. Let's get set up. Going for the full one again. Clock starts now. Remembering to breathe. Pushing up through the mat, reaching the crown of the head out over the mat if you're in this full expression. Either way, think long line from head to tail. Engaging that core. Hugging all those muscles in around your powerhouse. In through the nose, out through the mouth. We're over halfway. If you need a break, take a break. You do what you do. We can do this. Only 10 seconds left. I'm shaking. We can do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. Take the relief you need. Maybe it's stretching out those arms. It is for me. I want to stretch these arms out nice. Bring it around to the front. Wiggle the fingers. We did it. But let's not celebrate too early. So we got to do some side planks too, right? It might not be very popular class this morning, today. All right. So now that we've got that whole plank series done, let's go ahead and move to the side and do like a side bend mermaid kind of thing. But we'll give you options. So we're going to come down to the side. Let's bend the knees. And we'll put our feet one in front of the other. So bottom foot's going to be to the front. Top foot is more behind. And we're going to have a little bit of an angle to start with from the shoulder to the wrist. It's not going to be directly under because when we come up, we'll have a weird angle. What we want is when we come up on it, that the shoulder's right over the wrist. So that's what we're aiming for. So lowest version here is you keep those knees bent and down, and you keep the bottom knee planted, and you push that hip up, and you're in a knee side plank, okay? If that's too easy, the next version is you come up, and you extend those legs, and now you're in this plank with your staggered feet. If that's still too easy, then you're going to stack your feet one on top of each other, and you're going to come up into that side plank with your feet stacked, like this. So we're pushing up. So you pick the version that's right for you. And we're going to do 4 side bend mermaids. So what that looks like, so we're going to add motion to it rather than it just being there static like we did with those planks. So I'm going to pick the staggered foot version. I'm going to come up, we're going to push those hips up toward the sky. This top arm is going to come over, gaze follows it, and then we let the hips sag. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whew. It's a lot of work on those shoulders. So if you've got shoulder issues or wrist issues, this may not be the one for you today, but I feel like we haven't done a lot of side body work. So that's why I'm throwing this in here this week. All right, set yourself up for the other side. Remember, we can do keeping the knees down, staggered feet, one on top. I'm going to show keeping the knees down on this side, just so you can see that that is still achievable. You're still getting the work that you need, and it's where you are, instead of trying to push through and get frustrated because you can't do some other higher leveled version. So, keeping my knees down, I'm going to come up into my plank on the knees, and I still am going to sweep that arm up overhead, let the hips come down, so I'm still getting that side body work as I move through this side mermaid sequence. And 3, and 4. There we are. So that's the side bend mermaid. We can build up to that. It is a challenge, especially if you are experiencing any kind of alignment issues or pain or anything like that. So be kind to yourself, take the options, or don't do it at all if that's not for you. Let's go back to our back, and we're going to do a little bit of bridging. Just like we find our alignment in standing, we find our alignment in any position that we find ourselves in. So on the mat, we can feel our ribs over our hips. Hips are nice and balanced left to right. Shoulders are spread wide. Hands are down by the side. Feet are planted, all 4 corners, not up with the heels, not up with the toes, not rolling in or rolling out, but nice planted feet. We're not going to do an articulated bridge here where we kind of roll up one vertebra at a time. We're going to do a flat back bridge. So it's like this whole section is a board, and it's just going to come up and down. And the pivot point is right here at our ribs, or more like at our shoulder blades. So finding yourself here, I want you to anchor those feet in the ground and anchor those shoulder blades behind you into the ground. And on an exhale, I want you to pop those hips up toward the sky, and then bring it all back down, one rigid long line. Just explore what this feels like in your body now, what muscles are working, what's firing. Is this all coming from glutes, or is it all coming from your abs pulling, or is it more about the force of the push into the feet? Notice what's happening. Those are your dominant muscles. That's what you've trained, your body's adapted, and we're going to ask for a little bit of different work here. So now on this next one, I want you to think, instead of squeezing your glutes all together, I want you to try to fire each one individually. So first you're going to take this glute muscle on the right hand side and squeeze that like you're trying to reach toward that heel. So it's a weird imagery, but you're almost like trying to reach your butt to that right butt cheek to the right heel. And then I want you to do the same thing with the left one. You're squeezing it and you're taking it to that other heel. So now you've got it all activated and you feel the power on either side of your body rather than it all being forced into the center. And then, now that you've got those powerful glutes activated, you push the trunk up toward the ceiling, feeling all that power, and then bringing it all back down and release. Just like we did in our warm-up, power up, and release it all down. Inhale, fire up, and down. 3 more. This is about firing up and powering those glutes. The quads are doing some work, the hamstrings are doing some work, the core is engaged to keep this all stable as you bring that trunk up, but real power is happening. We're forcing the energy into those glutes. And down, last one. Go ahead and bring that up. All right, so let's hang out here for a second, and let's see if we can really activate and isolate each side. So I want you to shift your weight to your left foot, and I want you to really power that left glute. So that's turned on real high. Then you're going to float that right foot up off the mat, And you're going to take that foot to the sky, and keeping your hips nice and level, you're just going to pump that leg 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Bring that foot back down to the mat. Bring your hips back down to the mat. Take a break for a second. We're going to power ourselves up for the next side. All right, fire both glutes. Trunk comes up to the sky. Shift the weight into the opposite side now. Plant that foot. Fire that glute like you've never fired it before. For stability, hips stay level as you float that foot up. Pump that leg 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Bring that foot down. Hips come back down to the mat. Hug yourself into a little ball and roll side to side. All right. We're going to do a little bit more of leg work. Let's come down to our sides. We're going to do this side lying, so the bottom arm is out as our pillow. Nice long line of the body. This bottom knee can be bent for stability. Top hand can be right here for support. And we feel a nice stacked hips, one on top of the other, not rocking forward or backwards. Nice long leg. So we're going to just do a couple lifts to get the motion, and then we're going to go into some little ninja kicks. So let's go. So we're just going to lift with the pointed foot, flex the foot, and then bring it down, resisting it as it comes down. We're just doing 8 of these. Point and lift up, flex, resist, down. That's 2 and 3. All the while you've got that core engaged, right? 5, 6, 7, and 8. Don't let that foot drop yet. So now we're going to have that foot pointed toe. It's hovering about, I don't know, 6 to 8 inches off the ground here. And what we're going to do is bring that knee into the chest with the foot flexed, and then we're going to, or excuse me, the foot pointed. When we get it up to the chest, we're going to flex that foot, and we're going to take all that power of our leg and extend it out long, like we're trying to kick something that's down there at the end of our mat. So point and knee, kick it out. So we're not using momentum. We're thinking about going through wet concrete, whatever analogy you want. If you're walking through sand, whatever will slow you down to really engage all these muscles as you kick that away. You can do this and just go through the motions. We're about halfway there. We're doing 8 of these. If you just kind of let it go out, it's pretty easy. But as soon as you start to fight yourself, as you resist it coming in, and then engage all those muscles as you push that out, you feel so much more work, and you're going to see so much more results out of that. 2 more. Last one. All right, let that come down. We're going to do one more thing on this side, and then we'll flip over and repeat that set on the other side. So we're just going to do little rainbow arcs. So you're going to float that foot up about 6 to 8 inches off your mat. You're going to tap your toe to the front, arc it on over, take it to the back. All the while, those hips are stacked and they're not moving. They're like the counterbalance for you. So pay attention to what's going on in your body and what you have to turn on to keep these hips stacked one on top of the other as you arc that foot forward and backwards. We're only doing 6 arcs, which is 1 to the front, 1 to the back. So we've got 2 more left. I say that with such confidence. Please don't count because I have no clue where we are. I think we had 2 more left, so there we go. Go ahead and take that leg in front of you, pat it out, massage it, whatever you need, and flip on over to the other side. Get yourself set up and situated. Same way as we did on the other side. Nice long line of the body, knees bent on the bottom if you need extra stability. Hand is a little tent right here. This top leg is nice and long. Hips stacked one on top of the other. Core is engaged for stability. And here we go. We're going to lift with a pointed toe, flex the foot, lower it back down. Engaging all those muscles, remembering to breathe. You get out of it what you put into it. And you know what? For all I care, if it just is good for you to get up and move, Don't work so hard. Maybe you just need to move today, and that's okay. I'm not judging. I'm just telling you what to do if you want a little more. And if you're just enjoying being in some sense of normalcy through class here, that's fine too. We're halfway there. Two more. All right, we're gonna hold that one up. Now we're working on our ninja kicks. So we're gonna bring that knee to the chest, flex the foot, resist as you kick that foot far out away from you. Knee to chest, flex the foot, resist the kick. Whew. Really reaching it. It's a weird kind of feeling when you're resisting it but also trying to reach it. So there's a lot of opposing energy forces going on here. Halfway there. In. I'm already exhausted. My leg is so tired. We can do this though. Out. One more. In and out. We're gonna let that hang down for a second. We gotta do our arcs though. So now, nice long leg. We're gonna take that toe and tap it to the front, and we're just doing 6 sets of these. That's 1. I'm gonna count for real this time, okay? 2. Finding that counterbalance in the hips. 3. 4. You're gonna find each side, that's 5. Might be different. You might have a smoother arc on one side than the other. It's pretty normal. Bring it in, pat it out. We are not perfectly symmetrical beings. We are very asymmetrical. But we can work towards some balance by training our body in ways to get whole muscle, balanced muscle development. My kids make fun of me for stuttering and messing up words all the time, and I feel that this morning so hard. So that's where we are today, guys. All right. So we have worked all of our body. I think it's time to cool down. What do you think? Let's do it. All right. We're going to come on up to standing. We're going to do a couple roll downs here, finding ourselves nice and tall on our mat, sweeping the arms up overhead. Roll down and then feel that. Oh my gosh, it feels glorious even just getting down there. Nice long stretch all along the back side of the body. All right, let's walk it on out to plank, but we're not hanging there. This is just a transition pose, and then we're gonna push up into down dog. So hips hike up to the ceiling, heads between the biceps, not locking out the knees. We're gaze is between our feet back there, and then we're just gonna pedal our feet out. We're calling it walk the dog is what they say in classes, where you bend one knee while the other heel tries to find its way down to the mat. Stretching it out. Couple more here. And then we're going to come into pigeon, and if pigeon isn't right for you, you're going to do a different thing. You're going to come into number 4 stretch on your back. So I'm going to show you both. So from here, you kick that leg up, sweep it on through that knee. So if your right leg, your right knee comes out toward the right corner of your mat, and you gently release those toes behind you, and you come down only as far as it feels good to get the stretch through what we just worked with that sideline work. If this is not for you, what you do instead is you transition to coming onto your back, and then you cross one leg over the other, and you pull that in to get that same stretch on your side. So you pick the version that's good for you today. I'm coming back into that pigeon because that's what I need. And you just come down as far as it feels good without pressing into pain. So you can come down onto your elbows or all the way down if you like. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here together and really let those muscles stretch out and release. And lucky you, this is a recording, so if you want to hang here longer, you just pause it and you hang here longer. Or if you just want to go through with us, we're going to push ourselves up, curl those back toes under to come back up into that plank, take that foot back there with it, push back through to down dog, hike those hips up to the sky, and then the opposite foot finds its way up and sweeps on through for pigeon on the other side. Or you roll on over to your back, or if you're already still there, you cross the other leg over and get your number 4 stretch. Coming down to where you get the best stretch in your body this morning. Let's take 3 deep breaths here. Don't rush it. Settle on in, feel it all open. And when you're ready, curl those toes under on that back leg. Bring the hands back under the shoulders, spread wide on your mat, push up into your plank, let that foot go find its friend back there. Hike those hips up into that downward dog. Let's walk those feet one last time, pedal those heels down to the mat. And then we're going to walk our hands back toward our feet, so settle those feet into stillness. Walk your hands back up to standing. And roll it on up. Coming back through to center. I don't know about you guys, but after 6 weeks or whatever, I think we're on our 6th week of stay-at-home orders. My hair's getting crazy. I'm feeling it. But you know what? Our family is safe and happy and healthy, and I hope yours is too. So from here, we're just going to roll those shoulders back a couple times. Bring them up to the ears and roll them back. And then we're going to take them forward, rolling them forward. All right, settling them into quiet. Let's take our feet a little bit farther apart. So we've got a nice wide stance. We're going to forward fold into this wide stance, and then we're going to do a little bit of a spinal rotation. So take those arms up overhead. Forward fold. If you can reach the ground, reach the ground. If you have a block or something to bring the ground to you, that's also wonderful. Or if you're just hanging here, try to get yourself where you can plant your right hand in front of your face, and then twisting at the torso, the left hand goes up toward the sky and the gaze follows. So you're twisting at the torso for this. A couple breaths here. Bringing that hand back down to meet his friend down there. Switch hands and twist in the opposite direction. Bringing that hand back down and just feeling that nice stretch all in the inner thighs, along the back side. Slowly start to walk your hands up your legs, and we're just going to do a little squat here. So you can take your heels in, point your toes out, and just come down as far as feels good. So you're coming back up to standing, and just squat and up. So this should feel a nice release on the inside of your legs. Don't push too far into it. It's all about release right now. And up, one more, and squat. All right, you guys know what I like to do is end the class with 3 big deep breaths together. So whatever position's comfortable for you, if you want to be seated for this or standing, we're going to inhale up and through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And in, and out. Last one here together, folks. And in, and out. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you got what you needed. If not, there are so many workout videos out there these days, so go find the one that works for you. Take care, everybody. Thanks.